You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode. We're talking Call of Duty. I'm sorry. This is the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Babble, babble, bribble, babble.
Babble, bribble,
Bibble, babble, booble, babble.
Wow,
It's bibble, babble, booble, babble. You gotta get it correct.
losing his temper.
No, you named me wrong.
I messed up. I messed up on us.
You misquoted my name, and I am not okay. I'm not okay with that.
Not okay. I put the wrong
Never gonna be
syllable
okay.
on the wrong. Was it emphasis
Syllable?
on the wrong syllable?
Syllable.
That's what it was.
You just
That's
said the
phrase.
entirely wrong word is what you did.
No. That's how it was intentional.
I know.
Put the wrong emphasis on the wrong
No,
syllable.
not what you just said. I'm talking about the bibble, babble, booble, babble.
That's what I'm trying to
I know.
describe how I messed it up.
I know. And I'm making it
We were
difficult
talking
for you.
Call of Duty. The beta is over. I did not play it. I believe you all did.
I meant to play
Yeah.
it more, but then I suffered a massive just sinus attack. So,
Yeah.
but
I thought you were gonna say heart attack. I was like,
No.
don't do
Suffered a
that
massive
again.
Stroke.
no, I literally
couldn't play it because of my hand.
I passed out I don't ever go to bed before 11 o'clock on Saturday, but I was asleep before 11.
Yeah.
Passed out.
And then I woke up at 6 in the morning with my lights and everything still on. And I was
Yeah.
like, dang.
He probably woke up to 3 texts from me like, "Are you gonna play tonight? You said you were gonna be on. Where are you?"
all I know is that there's a third person.
There is a there's a certain play mode that you play third
Playlist.
person.
Oh, you
It is
can't
fun.
switch back and forth.
No, it's just you know how you have domination or
It's called third
Team-
person mosh pit or something
Yeah.
like that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
It is
It's
fun,
called
though.
third person mosh pit.
yeah. It is fun though.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those where every year the new Call of Duty comes out.
Yeah.
They skipped last year,
Yeah.
but of course
They wanted to make it better.
well, that's always what they say. They've done the same thing with Assassin's Creed, and
Yeah.
I look. I have not played Assassin's
People
Creed.
love Assassin's Creed. I don't play it either.
Oh,
but
yeah.
People love Assassin's Creed.
Buddy at work loves it. I got two.
Valhalla's
They
amazing.
love Valhalla. And
Valhalla's
it's
amazing.
It kind of makes me mad because PS Plus did partner with Ubisoft, and they're all free. Like the last 6 or 7 of
well,
them
play
are
them
free.
then.
Play it.
I ain't got that much time.
Well, that's your problem. not mine.
Valhalla's what 200, 300 hours long.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of
that's-
Sushiro.
That one's ridiculous too.
It is. I've bit off more than I can chew in that regard.
Yeah.
I'm glad I went back to God of War and finished it.
I never
first,
bite
but
off more sushi roll than I can chew.
You should.
Ghost of
Sushi's great.
Sushiro.
It's a great game. Should definitely check it
I
out.
do need to check that out.
Just like we're gonna check out movies.
Yeah.
We have
That's what we're really here to talk about.
all kinds of things going on this week.
I don't know what was the big one that broke just before the show earlier this afternoon.
The big one.
What was the one we just brought?
Oh, the one that Brian found?
Yes,
The,
the Brian. Yeah, he gave us a.
Gave us a heads up on that.
the Dahmer drama on
On
drama
Netflix.
on Netflix.
Yeah.
They there was some complaints by the LGT whatever
what now?
LMNOP compute or I got it wrong and I
The
just gonna keep
alphabet.
going.
Yeah,
They were upset that that they had that LGB I can't do it. I don't remember anymore.
Q.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
I am. I put the wrong this time. Yes, and it's not even intentional. I'm just actually butchering it. But
Yeah.
they had the tag on there, and the community was pissed because Jeffrey Dahmer obviously was a
was
sociopath.
gay.
So
He was homosexual.
he was gay.
He
And he
preyed
killed-
on
most of the people he
other
killed were
gay
gay.
men.
yeah, but their point is
In
they're-
nightclubs.
that's not their problem. Their problem is that they're saying they're promoting that they're victimizing the people. Like they're saying they're promoting their victimization. And here's the thing.
So here's the problem with that whole
they didn't
concept.
want that to be associated with a serial killer.
no.
And
was part of the
problem
complaint.
with
Oh, yeah.
that is that it's like you want to just say pride is pride and it's all joyful and happy. that there's not an ugly side to it. And I'm like, BS.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
If he wasn't gay, if he was just a white, straight, cis male killing the LGBTQ community, they would praise the series.
I don't know,
as
like
bringing,
Ted Bundy.
I think they would praise the series as bringing light to the victims, but because he was one too, now it's highlighting the victimization and making them in a bad
that's what
way.
they're claiming.
Yeah, they don't like that. One, he was like the association that you only tagged that because the killer was gay, and also they're saying you're victim, like these victims, you're just profiting off of their deaths and their torment, and it's like, okay, you could say that about any drama about a serial killer.
Here's the thing, I guess, but to be the same thing as like, okay, I don't want you to call this a horror film because people may get scared. Sorry, that's what it's designated because that's the genre you're in. It's like, I don't think it necessarily has to. I mean, here's the problem with making LGBTQIALMNOP a genre, is it's not a genre.
No.
And that's the problem with this whole movement in general, is that you immediately put the emphasis on all of a sudden being and parading around like, oh, we can only have nothing but positive. It's only going to be positive. It's like, well, then clearly you're a propagandistic political film. It'd be like if you labeled something right-leaning or left-leaning, and that's a genre. If you want to do that, that's fine, but you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
You're gonna get all the good that comes with the bad.
Well, they pulled the tag. It's no longer tagged that way.
Pulled it.
So now it's just
it's
all the other like true crime tags that they had on there are still on there. Like those are all there. It's just no longer.
Well,
tagged
see, the thing is with Netflix, you can actually search
yeah, you can,
LGBTQ
and it'll pop up
stuff,
everything related.
content, and it'll all be shows that are related to that. And it's like,
Dahmer's number
you're gonna
one.
have Jeffrey Dahmer on there is number one, and they don't like that. It's like, I wonder if Bohemian Rhapsody is on there. Is that on there?
Probably.
Since Freddie Mercury.
I would
was
say
gay?
probably.
That wouldn't surprise me at all if that's under that label.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, why don't you just label it as music and
or
biography?
Just,
and,
use actual just use actual genres. Like,
right.
Well, and actually, we had a really good comment on our Triple
Is there
R
an AIDS section
video.
on there? 'Cause then you'd have Philadelphia and Bohemian Rhapsody and
oh gosh, no, I'm trying to
What
think
else?
of the. I don't know of any other.
there's
movie
only
that-
two.
There you go.
Only two movies ever
That's
made
the only
about
reason.
AIDS.
I guess that hasn't been made a genre. I don't know.
Not yet.
Maybe that's it.
Needs three.
Maybe
be a
a
genre.
trilogy, an age trilogy. Oh, monkeypox is coming. Oh gosh.
Oh, dang.
Threw that out there. That's
Yeah, you
terrible.
did. Just tossed it right in with the
There we
mix.
go.
But no, I did. For me though, I forgot what I was even talking
I don't
about
even
before
know.
this crap.
Like,
I
for
totally-
me, though,
yeah.
I don't even know what I'm going to say.
I could change the subject. I was just trying to give you a chance to remember.
I do know. I had a good point I wanted to bring
No,
up.
that's what I'm saying. I didn't want to change it until you remembered your point.
I can't remember what was I going into.
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to give you a chance.
I'm
but
gonna watch
you can't
this
just
back
legal
and
forever.
remember
Yeah.
that on it.
Yeah, we were
I
talking
blame
about,
the beer.
we
It's
were talking
I
about
just-
AIDS.
Because
and
there was
then
actually
you had a thought. and
news
then
before
it
the show
was
that I
lost.
was
You
more
lost.
excited about.
That's what
than this
AIDS does. It
news.
destroys.
Yeah.
I was the Deadpool news was the news that I was most excited
Yes.
about. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Let's talk about that for a little
See.
second.
Well, I just the fact that I imagine, like, obviously with Hugh Jackman retiring the role of Wolverine and it's official he's coming back for this movie, I was like, that would be the one time he would redo the role is because of his quote unquote like friendly rivalry with Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
And I'm like, so that's cool.
I'm a little bit pissed about it.
Oh yeah.
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 Don't get me wrong. I want to see what they do.
Yeah.
I loved the build up. Loved the
He's
teaser.
made fun of Hugh Jackman's Wolverine so much. I feel
Oh,
like
of course.
it's fitting that they would be together.
I'm just like, it's not that I don't think it can be funny. It's not that I don't. I would have been fine for the teaser. The fact that they are pretty much branding it as no, he's going to be back for this film. I'm like, Logan was such a good send off.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I'm just tired of them rehashing old ideas for the sake of trying to breathe relevance into
yeah, but I
an
kind
already
of-
dying genre.
I kind of
There
feel
you
with
go.
Ryan Reynolds. This is my hope. If they let Ryan Reynolds do his thing, like with the first two movies, if
Yeah.
Disney and Kevin Feige will actually just leave it alone, which I don't have faith in, but I'm hoping because they know, like, obviously you're keeping him as Deadpool, whereas you've replaced most of the other cast of X-Men, or you're planning on it. So it's like, I feel like you obviously know there's a formula there that fans love, so for them to stick their hands in now, it's like, I'm not saying it's out of their realm because they're dumb enough to do it. I'm just hoping they know, let's leave it alone, let them make their movie, because I think if you let him
Agreed.
do his idea, I think Ryan Reynolds will do something with Levy.
Adam, yeah.
Is it Adam Levy? The director? No, he did the Adam Project.
You said it. You said it in the text, and I'm forgetting
it's something
his name.
Levy, but
Levy.
is his last name. But he's a funny enough director. I think they could handle it. We'll just see. We'll see.
But I like you. I'm glad you brought that up because I agree. Of course, I do trust more so with Ryan Reynolds at the helm and him kind of adding that flavor. But I still go back to Deadpool 2, and I'm like, fine.
It wasn't as good as the first.
But it was more of the same,
Yeah.
and it wasn't as good as the first.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, again, how much? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Time will tell.
Yeah.
I am looking more forward to it than, of course, a lot of the other crap that we've seen. Because something else dropped today, too, which is that Wakanda Forever
I saw
is
that.
possibly going to be the longest Marvel...
Second longest.
Second longest in this... is it
No,
total?
in history, it's 2 hours
second
and
longest
40
in
Marvel Universe.
in the whole
minutes or
MCU,
something.
yeah.
I thought it was in just this phase, but okay.
It's
that
like
makes
2
sense.
hours and 41 minutes, I think.
Yeah, 41 or...
I was not happy to see that. I just because again, I'm done with Marvel.
I always
so
have
they
the-
really have to win me back over. That's all.
I always have the opinion that I'm fine with that if it's a good movie that warrants that, but I no longer trust that maybe it is a good movie that warrants that runtime.
I think if you just give it a chance, everything's going to be all right.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was so heartwarming.
You know what wasn't all right?
No, that's the song from the movie. Everything's
gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, it bops. I do dig that.
Well, that's why
I do
it's
like
so
that.
long.
It's gonna
They're
be
gonna have
all right.
they're gonna have like a dance scene.
I ain't gonna
or a
lie. I'm
dance
already. I'm
number.
just
They
like
should.
the
They're gonna have a.
I actually would
Wakanda
like
Forever salute. I'm also
If
just.
they
I
did,
love
like-
the part in the trailer where they are like at that committee meeting and they all just reach up and put their mics down. I'm like, yeah.
Actually,
yeah,
I
Wakanda
think
Forever.
The trailer I thought looked halfway decent. I just don't trust Marvel anymore. But anyways, besides the point, I don't remember what I was going to say other than that, you know what wasn't all right? The movie we're about to review.
That was
That's
it.
true.
I was
Good segue.
I was waiting for it. That's beautiful.
We're at 11 minutes, so let's.
Well, we
get
didn't
it.
even kind of talk about our movie. It's kind of rare.
Do we need to talk about
yeah,
it?
that's what I
Well,
was-
here I got to set it up because it is rare that we review a movie on the day it comes out.
That's true.
It released today on Netflix.
On Netflix, DVD, and video on demand. That tells you how bad it was. Netflix wasn't faith. Like they didn't have enough faith that they could get subscribers to watch it, so they had to make their money back by immediately releasing it for purchase.
So you know
the
what?
Same day.
Watch this review so that you know now how bad the Munsters is.
With less than a week left until October and a slew of major horror and Halloween-related films on the horizon, we are officially kicking off our Halloween reviews early. With so many franchise hits seeing new releases for the holiday, this year's theme is fittingly Halloween franchises. And we start the whole shebang off with a remake of the friendliest clan of monsters we know, the Munsters. Directed by Rob Zombie, better known for pulp horror splatter flicks, The Munsters is a longtime passion project of the director, who has for years expressed his love of the original series. Starring frequent Rob Zombie collaborators Jeff Daniel Phillips as Herman Munster, Daniel Roebuck as Grandpa Munster, and Sherry Moon Zombie as Lily Munster. The premise of the film is an origin story showcasing how Herman and Lily met, fell in love, and ultimately came to live in suburban America. Now, I will openly admit I am not a fan of Rob Zombie's filmmaking. However, I can see the pulp horror appeal he has to those who are fans. And with his proclaimed love of the Munsters on top of the clear evidence that he was attempting to remain faithful to the spirit of the original rather than twisted into the grindhouse-style horror he's known for, I had some hopes for this film. After viewing The Munsters, I can say that I was completely wrong, however, to believe that Zombie could ever create anything remotely adept. The first red flag should have been Zombie's casting of his long-term friends and family. Though Daniel Roebuck and Sherry Moon Zombie seemed promising as their characters in trailers, they, alongside Jeff Daniel Phillips as Herman, deliver horrible and over-exaggerated performances of the most basic stereotypes of their characters. Herman, a loving if dim-witted husband and father, has now become a complete buffoon, oblivious to everything around him. Lily, the clever matriarch who often keeps Herman grounded, has become an airhead, and the always scheming curmudgeon that is Grandpa has become twice as mean-spirited and nowhere near as lovable. They perform like cosplayers making a bad YouTube video, which is indicative of the entire production. Yes, it's not just the cast that feels like a bad parody of a parody, but the entire film maintains Zombie's cheap grindhouse style of filmmaking, missing the charm of what made the Munsters work. Zombie has zero sense of plot structure as the characters meander on from set piece to set piece. The movie is quite literally worse than being a feature-length episode of a show, as even episodes tend to have conflict, rising action, and resolution with character development. The Munsters learn absolutely nothing over the course of the film and are no different at its end than its beginning. In fact, the only major conflict wraps itself up entirely without any effort or involvement from the main cast. The charm of the original show was the fact that the Munsters were your stereotypical American sitcom family who just happened to be monsters. They were fish out of water who had no idea they were fish out of water, as they viewed the rest of the world as ugly and peculiar. But deep down, they still maintained traditional moral values and were a loving family. Zombie's film, however, keeps the family in Transylvania surrounded by monsters and the macabre for more than 3/4 of the film's runtime. The characters are also played as being much more macabre themselves as well, losing the balance between strange and traditional values the original series held, coming off more akin to the Addams Family than the Munsters. When they do arrive in America, we get the briefest hint at the original formula before the film is over, leading to a film that's all poorly done slapstick, non-stop puns and gags with no straight man to play against. It's like a Jim Varney Ernest film without any of the charm or wit. The Munsters ultimately is one of the saddest attempts at filmmaking I've seen this year. Sure, it's full of Easter eggs and callbacks to the original show, and it's clear that, as Zombie has said, he is a fan. What's also clear, however, is that despite being a fan, Zombie has no understanding of why the original show was so beloved, or even how to put together a film at all at this point. I give Rob Zombie's The Munsters 1 out of 4 stars.
Yikes. There it is.
It was a bad movie.
Yeah, it was.
I will say, just to add some levity, it's not as bad as Jurassic World.
I thought about it.
That is still the worst.
For a moment,
movie
I
of the year.
considered because I gave Dominion I gave Dominion a bomb, and I considered this, and I was like, you know what? No, because at least this wasn't supposed to be the wrap up of an entire franchise that you just completely butchered. And Dominion actually had a high budget. Like this,
I hope
this was never getting a large budget.
I hope this is the wrap up. I hope there's nothing that
no,
comes after this.
No, not at all.
I just hope it didn't kill the franchise, The Munsters.
Well, it was already a dead franchise. It didn't revive it. That's for sure.
No. Bring it back from the dead.
He told bad jokes in the original series, but that was not the highlight of his character. Like like him being a failed stand-up comedic is where he got his brain, and him constantly doing the jokes.
God.
I was like, why?
A little too on the nose.
Like Herman. They did. They made every character was an over-exaggeration of the character from the show. I was like, they were not that stupid. They were not that airheaded. Like. It's just, I don't know. It was just bad.
Yeah.
Like, he could not string a plot together. It had no plot.
No plot.
Well, I was going to say, I think you said it best in the review, that it's just like, I don't hate to say it because I've never been a fan of Rob Zombie.
I haven't either,
but this proves he's a talentless hack. The only bright spot of the movie that I told y'all just before we stepped in here for the show, that it is a PG movie, and it does not stray from a family-friendly,
which is
surprising, very surprising, because I would have thought
he love the show that much.
Yeah.
But you think of so many things today that are family oriented,
right.
Heck,
that
even
you
Disney
turn on
sneaks stuff in their
Yeah.
movies.
Oh, yeah.
That's not
family. And everybody knows there's been innuendo and things before in the past. But excuse me,
wow, just hacking our ear,
choking me up.
Innuendo.
But innuendo is far different.
Yeah.
Than just blatant, okay, we're shoving this message in there.
Yeah.
And so I'll give Rob Zombie credit there where, no, you could watch this with your family.
Yep.
You'll just be bored to tears.
Yeah, you don't want to watch it with your family, not because it's bad for kids. It's just bad. It's a bad movie.
No, I was really surprised because I sat and watched this with a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old and my wife who left. She was out 20 minutes in. She was out.
I don't blame her.
Yeah, she was out. But me and the kids sat through this monstrosity. And did you like that one?
Yeah. I mean, you can do a Herman laugh every time.
I can't do it.
But no, it wasn't even that. It was
Yeah, his voice was awful.
You get done with the movie, and an 8-year-old looks at you and is like, "Is that it?" Like, I don't get it. Yeah, there's nothing to get.
His imagination could have probably come up with something better.
No,
than
it was terrible. None of us laughed. We didn't find anything funny. We were bored throughout the film. I never could figure out, like, where is it going? It wasn't even until the end of the film that I was kind of like, okay, so all this film was a setup to get them from point A to the beginning of where the show starts.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so it's an origin story, but there's not even, like you said it, there's no plot. There's no
conflict.
There's nothing.
There is a conflict, but it resolves itself.
Everything did.
Yep.
And I'm like, and then, there
was just never any kind of imperative danger. And it's like, that's the problem with thinking that, I feel like this is the problem with Rob Zombie doing a family-friendly film, is if you watch Finding Nemo, if you watch Finding Nemo, too much beer. It is. Hey, what is this? Fairhope? Fairhope is great.
Is it a higher? I thought it had a higher alcohol content.
This one does.
Does it?
This one's a little higher than the other.
I thought the last time I looked at them,
what was the last one?
4.7 was the last one.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's like
4.7,
4.85.
yeah, I don't consider that high.
I don't know what this is.
If you watch Finding Nemo or any Pixar movie pre-Brave,
Toy Story 4.
Yeah, definitely pre-Toy Story 4. The stakes are still detrimental and very realistic based on the story they're telling. And you watch this film, it was like, you don't, just because you're making a kid's film, you don't have to cater to kids like they're stupid.
Yeah.
And I feel like so much of this movie did in terms of its slapstick humor that they tried too on the nose again, tried to point out Herman's ability to be a stand-up comic cracking these dad jokes. And I'm like, okay, fine, it's funny the first time, but when you continue it, I mean, you can really hone in on that and you can continue to tell those jokes, but you then have to be creative about the jokes you tell and not just tell something that literally all of us have heard 50,000 times.
Yeah.
Because the funny part about a dad joke is you can see a new one and talk about how bad it is. Sean throws them down on the show all the time, but they're hilarious when he does.
Yeah.
Because there's a
craft to making puns.
Yes.
Like they are intentionally supposed to be bad, but they're still funny. There's the humor in how bad they are. Yeah. And some people, I think there's a lot there. It's like, because that's one thing I loved about the Muppets, because they are great at making puns. At least they used to be until Disney ruined them too. Yeah. But with this movie,
Disney ruins everything.
They do.
It's so sad. They ruin it all, and they used to not be that way.
No, but this movie, it's just Rob Zombie ruins everything too. But
Walt, we need you, man.
It's like he doesn't understand, like, not just the puns, like that, how to craft a pun, but all of it. Like, he doesn't understand how to string the plot together, how to make character development, how to have conflict that your characters have to learn a lesson to overcome.
Yeah. The character development.
Yes, I mentioned these characters they're the same characters at the end of the movie they were at the beginning of the movie. Nothing happens to them throughout the course of the movie that makes them learn anything, makes them change, makes them have to overcome anything. Like, they literally are just watching these people meet, get married, and move into a house. And I'm like...
and that's what's boring.
Yeah.
That's what's boring about it.
I could go home and watch my neighbors. It's like, that's basically what you're doing. I don't want to, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it's like,
honestly, I think you'd get a more interesting story
Yes.
than PRP.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was just like, what is this movie? Like, literally, the only thing it has is the gimmick that it is the Munsters. And, like, part of the gimmick in the original show was that they were monsters amongst normal people, but they thought they were normal. In this, he spends more than 3/4 of the movie in Transylvania. Where they're amongst all the weird people anyways.
It's the last 20 minutes of the movie that they moved to the suburbs.
Well, and again, I could somewhat forgive them because I knew they were trying to do an origin story. But again, you have to make the events that lead up to that very interesting. And they just failed to do that.
Yeah.
It did not live up to that. And for someone who is unabashedly a huge fan of the Munsters, Rob Zombie, like I said, I told you I was trying to pick up, video clips for doing the review.
Cribs episode.
There was an old Cribs episode on YouTube that was Rob Zombie back in it was like 07 or 02. It was early. And I was like, I actually want to check this out. And he has tons of memorabilia and posters from the Munsters, and he name drops it in the Cribs episode, and is like huge fan. And it's sad to see that it feels like he either completely misunderstood the series as a whole from when he remembers it, or he just so badly doesn't know how to write
Maybe,
that he can't live up to the actual.
I think he honestly just doesn't understand the difference in like what the original did and what he did. Like I think he honestly thinks, no, see, like they had bad puns, they had cheap special effects, and it's like
that's not all it was.
Yes,
And I'm not even a fan. I told Keith this. I said I'm not a huge fan of the Addams Family or the Munsters. I get their appeal to certain people.
Yeah,
I just didn't grow up on them. I was like, my parents threw on the Brady Bunch or like Laverne and Shirley, and those were the old school like shows I watched.
Nick at Night.
But it's funny because I understand certain endearing moments from both franchises. But the Addams Family movie that was created back in the early 90s?
The 90s,
is that Tim Burton?
No.
Who was that? I forget who did the one with Christina Ricci and
I think is how do you say his name? Sonnenfeld or Sonnenfeld?
not
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
Not Seinfeld. It's like Sonnenfeld.
I have
All
no
I know
idea.
is
it's
he
a
not
good
only
movie.
nailed the nostalgia factor for the Addams Family, he also nailed the story and the tropes of the show and the characters.
The characters,
the humor, the
definitely,
characters, they were all spot on, and it actually had a story with plot. And
Christopher Lloyd as Fester.
Yes.
Oh, it's perfect.
Cousin It.
We actually reviewed that.
love that.
We reviewed that last year. Go
Yes.
check it out on our website.
Much better movie. I love that movie.
RedMoonProductions.com.
Yeah, Barry Sonnenfeld.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did nothing else.
No, he's done all kinds of stuff that's just all garbage.
Okay. Same thing.
Let me. I was gonna pull up and read, but we can move on because
Well,
I just know.
I did
the
wanna-
Men in Black trilogy. That was what he did. I knew he did something else.
Well,
Yeah.
the first one.
The
I
first
guess.
one was great. Well, the Addams Family. For me, I love the original Addams Family, and the original Men in Black was good too.
Yeah.
He
Kind of
just,
like Robert Zemeckis.
he lost his.
He had
sense
the
of
90s,
humor.
man.
He had He had a great sense of humor. And somewhere along the way, he forgot how to be funny. The director.
Well,
so.
and Robert Zemeckis just went to CGI land and just did everything CGI.
I see where he went wrong. See, he did Addams Family Values, which was great. I've never seen Get Shorty, but I know a lot of people love it.
Get Shorty's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did that. He did Men in Black. So see, all these movies are great, and then he did Wild Wild West. That's where he went wrong.
Yeah.
Everything after that, gone.
That's what
Oh,
led.
he did do RV. That's fine. I like RV.
That's what led Will Smith to the slap.
No, I don't. Not RV. That's not the movie I was thinking of.
Well,
I'm thinking of We Are the Millers. RV was the terrible movie with
Robin Williams.
Yeah, that wasn't
I was
good.
gonna say no.
No, I was thinking We Are the Millers.
I was like,
'cause they're
maybe
in
you
RV.
wanted a family-friendly film. That's technically it.
I mixed up my movies. That's bad. Never mind.
But I think I texted you, and I was glad you included it in the review. But you might have even just mentioned it or thought the same thing. But I texted you in the middle of it. I was like, this feels like an earnest movie without the charm.
Yes, it
And
does.
it immediately just it
see that.
felt like a cheaply made YouTube video
Well, I
or
mentioned
movie.
during the review, is like some of the set pieces. I thought I was like, this is kind of like Halloween Town, but even worse. Like the scene of her
Calabar's Revenge.
when Lily's on the date with Orlok or whatever, and you see all the tables around them, and the
Yeah.
people are just. I was like that scene reminded me of like a scene from Halloween Town. I was just like, you see all the fake rubber masks.
And
on
really,
people.
the opening to the film, that scene right there was literally that was the only thing that made me laugh. Was him showing her the photos of his rats.
Yeah.
and then when he's trying to get her to go into his lair or whatever, and I kept telling Sawyer, I was like, oh, he's taking her home, he's gonna try to eat her or something, and then he does the freaking disco vampire thing. Like I literally started laughing at that part. I thought that was so stupid and funny at the same time.
The disco vampire is
That
where
was
I
just
thought
like-
it could have been funny. I just thought it went too far.
Oh, yeah.
But only because
Yes.
there was nothing leading up to
Nothing.
it. It was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, she's just
Same
like,
with
your place is really conveniently close or whatever. He's like, very convenient. Whatever. And I'm just like, he's gonna try to eat her.
But it's
or
so
something.
funny because even that whole scene set up like it was bland, and that's what made me like upset because it kind of set the pace for the whole film at that point. I mean, it's the intro to the movie, but also it gave me like there were so many moments throughout this film that showed promise and potential. I mean, like I said, I would also give one edge, not only for the family, it maintaining family values in terms of not going overboard and.
It didn't have anything bad.
Well,
in it.
right.
It didn't promote any morals
Yeah, I
either.
don't think
Yeah,
it really had
true.
values. It just it was clean. That was it.
Yeah.
Right,
That's all you could say for
That's it. But the production design was okay. It was what I would expect from a Rob Zombie film, and I think if
Well,
if
it
you
was
look
a low
at
budget film, and I mean, he
Right.
did and granted, the Munsters was always low budget anyways. He got that part right. It's just they were actually good. Like, it was kind of an intentional low budget, and I don't think he understood like how to go about intentionally making something look cheap but still be funny. And again, I just think it's just Rob Zombie not understanding how to make a film.
Yeah, he did a lot of these just in the cinematography. He did a lot of these close-up, wide-angle shots of people like in their face and laughing, and the camera would zoom in abruptly and quickly and pan out, and these real quick camera movements that were very much Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses. Like, he used some of the things from his filmmaking there in this, and it created a really, I don't know, I can't really describe. It was a very jarring like feel to the film. Like, I kept thinking it was
didn't
trying.
feel like the Munsters.
No, it was trying to be a little bit unnerving and kind of scary and kind of jumping you in and out.
It's supposed to be also hokey.
Yeah, but it just wasn't.
I think it was supposed to be. I told Brandon he has a very like grindhouse style, like a cheap horror, like pulp horror style with all his movies. But he did that with the Munsters, and like, the Munsters are cheap, but they're not like pulp horror like grindhouse.
And honestly, it could have, but that could have paid off. Had the story and the character development been there, but so much of it was pulled down to like such a juvenile level that it was like I couldn't give him credit for those things, because after a while it kind of the effect wore off and it became very gimmicky and cheap real quick.
Well,
and so I eventually just kind of was lost interest.
Like, you had like the animated background and something crazy,
right?
And I'm like
the first time it happened, I was like,
I
was like, it's okay, I get what he's doing, but then he did it. He relied on it too much.
Yeah, he did it. He
to
threw
be a
everything
trope.
in there constantly, and I'm just like, no, like it's not funny when you just do it just to do it.
Agreed. Agreed. Don't ever do it just to do it.
I always
That's
do
how bad
it just
decisions
to do it.
are
That's
made.
right.
Short-term sacrifices.
That's how Freddie Mercury. That's how Freddie Mercury died.
He just did it.
He did it just to do it.
Alrighty, guys. I think we are ready to move on to our headlines. So let's let's roll that open.
Beebles.
I don't know what that was.
That was great.
Just go.
Well,
Sean normally
with it.
never does.
yeah, it just he had that urge. He was like, "Let me get in here."
Yep.
He's feeling a little bit of that fair hope now, right?
Fair hope.
No.
Let's get into
He's
it.
feeling that fair hope.
As he takes another drink. Let's talk about some headlines.
Yeah, we got some headlines.
We do. Is this it for Baldwin?
I
Is he
hope
dead?
so.
Is he dead?
Gosh.
Yeah, there's some.
I mean,
Dead
there
to rights.
might be a little prison rape, but
the
I don't know if he's
rumors
gonna die.
Stern are saying that they're looking to actually press some charges, some criminal charges.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Rumor has
I was here. I was
Rumor has
listening about it today, and they were talking about how the is it the district attorney or
I believe
Yes.
so.
they're basically weighing out like 4 different possible litigations or yeah, and
Well, then they-
one of them
yeah.
was it does include Baldwin, but I mean they include other instances of negligence and stuff too. So, but I think with his name being tied to the film or the film being tied to his name, I really do feel like this is there's a good possibility he could.
I was gonna say
face charges.
It seemed. Here's the thing.
Well,
it kind of
could be,
catches me off guard. It seemed damning because she outwardly spoke about how there were. She went to garner. Let me just read the article from the Daily Wire here that we have linked below. According to the Santa Fe, New Mexican, Carmack Altweiss, who is the district attorney, filed an emergency request last week asking the New Mexico Board of Finance for $635,000 to support up to 4 possible criminal cases that she indicated. Sorry, it's the fair hope. Indicated could arise out of the ongoing investigation into the shooting, and then she did name Alec Baldwin as a potential in one of those lawsuits. Now, I think it's interesting that she would name him, but I think the reason why you can't say for sure that it's going to possibly be one of the cases brought forth that they're going to prosecute is because he's already attached to the case.
Yeah.
We know the FBI has been investigating him. I mean, he is the one who pulled the trigger.
Well, yeah.
He would have to be a possible suspect.
Exactly. They're always going to explore all avenues of what needs to happen, and because he is so heavily involved as being the one that pulled the trigger, he absolutely would be under suspicion of needing to be maybe charged.
Well, and I don't see how, like, honestly, I was kind of a little bit shocked, but also glad to hear that she was trying to find the money to bring about 4 different cases for the prosecution, simply because that makes me think there's no doubt that Alec Baldwin has to be involved. Why would 4 other people get a lawsuit brought against them if they didn't even pull the trigger, even if there's negligence involved and they get held, put on, they get put on trial.
There's no way that
there's no way the guy who pulled the trigger that shot the gun in the first place wouldn't
doesn't
be put
get
on trial.
indicted and other people do. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I have no doubt that criminal charges could be brought against Alec Baldwin. It's really more so they did grant enough money for 3 prosecutions, not all 4.
Yeah,
but I'm guessing that Alec Baldwin has to be one of those.
Yeah, I would say he would be the first. I mean, if you're weighing them out, I would think his involvement would have to be the priority.
Agreed.
Well, he's also one of the producers of the film anyway, so that already puts him in the hot seat as being, in charge of making sure production goes well anyways. And then you add the fact that he is the guy that pulled the trigger. It's like, in so many ways, it's like there's no way you can get around.
No,
you have to be.
He didn't pull the trigger.
I know. It just,
allegedly. That's the favorite legal term of everyone on TV. Allegedly.
Yeah.
But,
It just magically
let me ask you though.
Just hopped right on out of that gun.
It's as they do.
Yeah.
That's what happens in all these cases.
Yeah.
But no, if the prosecution is brought towards, Alec Baldwin and he is, put on trial, what do you think the outcome would be? Is he found guilty? Or is he, professing his innocence and the jury goes along with him because of his popularity, or because, truthfully, when the FBI reveals their hand, there's nothing that can... Here's the thing. I don't see... It depends on what they prosecute him for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the main... And they do list in there. I have to look it back up, but...
I had it pulled up. Let me pull it back up here.
Yeah, sure. Because they do specifically say the charges that they would be going after, and the charges they would be applying. And so for me, I think one of them is reckless homicide. And ultimately, it's like, I don't know what the weight of that carries, but we assume that Alec Baldwin, especially up to this point, has professed his innocence. So he's not going to plead guilty or try to go with a plea deal. He's gonna probably take this to trial. With that being the case, do you think he gets off? Do you think a jury will convict him?
Even if he is convicted, it doesn't necessarily mean anything will happen. Look at Jussie Smollett. I mean, he was convicted of faking
Smollett.
He was convicted of faking a hate crime. Like, I mean, there was all kinds of stuff. He was supposed to do prison time, and he did 30 days.
Agreed, but he didn't kill anybody.
That's
and
true.
I'm not trying to defend what
That's
he
true.
did, and
He
I'm
tried
not
to
trying to
kill
defend
himself.
the slap on the wrist sentence.
I'm over here trying to look for the charges, and I was like, yeah.
Like, I hired somebody to beat him to death. But...
He's going to spend the rest of his time
I understand,
with himself.
I understand, but at the same time, there have been, well, now that I'm drawing a blank on names, but there have been Hollywood elites that have had drunk driving and killed people, and they get all. I mean,
look at freaking Roman Polanski, who fled the country
I'm just saying,
because of his child abuse or child rape charges. Freaking most recently, who's denied it, but I'm forgetting his name. Midnight in Paris. I'm blanking on the name.
Oh.
Woody Allen?
Woody Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Woody Allen.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm sorry, but Kevin Spacey. Look at these creeps who have had charges brought against them, but almost you expect that they have the endless amount of resources that they're going to be able to take on a district attorney who's going to fight for them.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's going to throw
honestly,
all
I think
kinds
that's
of money
why it was so spicy to watch the trial between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had 2 A-listers
who had paid
tons of money to get this put on trial.
So who bought the better lawyer?
Well, and
obviously Johnny Depp.
who ultimately had the who saw Amber Heard coming and was like, "Hi, we could get her for some money."
Yeah,
easily.
That's exactly what happened. I don't know if it's in a different article. All this one says.
This one doesn't have.
Yeah,
the
she just
charges,
said that but she did list the number of possible charges, and that's all it says. It doesn't.
Oh,
mention
it doesn't. It doesn't
Yeah, it
mention.
doesn't
them.
go
No,
into
she
it
just
in
said
this
that
one.
she listed a bunch of possible charges.
I'll
so
try to
have
find
look.
an article that
I'm
has that
assuming if
link
she
it.
stated it and they're quoting her as having stated it, it's got to be out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I thought it was in there, but
Yeah.
okay. But I mean, ultimately, it's hard to say at this point. I would hope, and I'm going to err on the side of optimism, that if charges are brought against Alec Baldwin, he murdered somebody. Even at best, he committed manslaughter.
That's what I'm saying,
recklessly
yeah.
killed somebody.
Yeah. Like that's at the very least
second
what he should
degree
be
murder.
charged with. Yeah.
No, it's not even second degree. Manslaughter is a
Manslaughter's
completely
not-
different
yeah.
charge.
I'm just
It's
saying,
just
any
yeah.
kind of murder has to have intent.
Yeah.
And there was no intent.
There was no intent.
Yeah.
So it is manslaughter, but you ended a person's life.
Yes.
And you deserve
And you were
to
negligent.
be charged for that. Yeah.
So you deserve to be charged, and I'm sorry, you deserve time behind bars.
Yeah.
You do. If worse comes to worse, you do deserve
I mean,
time behind bars.
if it was anybody else, if we were just goofing off doing something stupid in the backyard and one of us act like, we would go to jail for manslaughter, whether it was intentional or not.
And it's almost happened. We have done things in
potato cannons,
multiple backyards.
bombing runs.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
But
Definitely.
yeah, that's a manslaughter charge. Whether you meant it or
Yeah.
not, you take someone's life.
I've heard too the possibility that, okay, say these charges are brought forth and he goes to trial, but a jury doesn't convict him. Would there be an appeal by the state? Or would they just simply say, well, we tried. We tried to convict him, and his lawyers and his team, they just
probably
did
wouldn't.
such a good job.
I think
would they not pursue it anymore?
if they went to court once and he was cleared, unless the family tries to appeal, I don't see the state doing it.
See, and I guess there is this other part of me that, regardless of the legality, legalese and that aspect of it, I do want to know deep down, like, what has Baldwin done apart from just unabashedly defending himself and trying to have completely denying any
He's the
responsibility at
victim.
all. Right.
Yeah.
And with that being the case, I do want to know, what has he done for her family in this instance? Has he provided legal funds? Has he tried to tell them, I'm extremely sorry, here's all the money? I mean, I'm sure that he's probably got his people that do this for him, but it's
he's
like
probably told not to talk to him at all.
Well, yeah,
that would be the
Probably.
smart thing, is not
Yeah.
to have any communication at all.
Contact, yeah.
Yeah.
But it kills me that, okay, you're right, that's the legal thing to do. But at the same time, it's like, when you're in this position, how much of an asshole do you have to be to have killed somebody?
I'm going to tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, because I did not know about this, but I heard this about Alec Baldwin today on the news, because they were talking about this possible prosecution. And I didn't know this, but he gave money to the spouse of a soldier that had fallen. He actually donated as charitable. Then he wrote her a letter when he found out that she was a part of the January 6th insurrection. And he wrote her a letter saying that he had no idea that she was a part of that, and he regretted giving her the helping their family out after the
shows you where
fallen
his
soldier.
his attitude is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where his heart is. Yeah.
I'm just saying that is evil.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, no, in his mind, she was the evil one because she took place in that.
Exactly.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
feel like
But that shows you
should
how
show
distorted
you how he
of
thinks
a
about the
reality.
situation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
He will not think that he's in the wrong. I mean, again, and this is where the justice system has to step in, and what it has failed to do for the last several years in so many instances. I don't even want to bring up the riots from 2 years ago, but I just did. But the fact is,
I did. It's like, I'm going to drink some more beer and talk about things.
But the thing is, with Alec Baldwin, you have to sit here and think, this man needs to be put behind bars.
Yeah.
For all of the negligence he's had. And this is a man, you talk about privilege.
Yes.
This is a man who I don't give a crap how hard he's worked in his life to get the acclaim that he has, or to build the rapport in the movie industry. The guy is a sleazeball.
He's a bad man.
Yeah.
He's an asshole.
Yeah.
And he needs to
nasshole?
find... he's a nasshole.
He's an asshole.
He needs to be sent to a crater and slammed into.
Oh,
it.
man.
Oh, NASA.
Yeah, no, I get
Did
ya.
you get it?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was bad.
Wow.
Dart made impact. Dart made impact.
Wow.
Dimorphos.
All right, we can move on. All I know is I do want to see, for once, a Hollywood A-lister who has done something atrocious get what they deserve.
Actually pay for their crime?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Exactly, and not just get away with it. Same with Ezra Miller.
Yeah.
Same with someone
But
like
see,
that.
that's
who
where
just-
my optimism goes out the window. Is
I know.
because where have you seen it before? And it's like, yes, you can hope that this will be the first one,
And you're-
that,
no,
that
and
the
you're
first
right.
one
And-
will spark others. But
and I guess
It's
my
not true. They convicted Bill
optimism,
Cosby. He served time
and then he got out.
yeah,
for good behavior.
No, because it was a wrongful conviction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on the lawyers appealed.
Yep.
And because they brought up evidence that was supposedly under, and Bill Cosby knew he was speaking off the record.
Yeah.
So they used evidence that was off the record, and that was the reason why the case got overturned.
Well, that was their foolish
So,
mistake.
but my point is that's the thing, is it's like, look, and granted, I think at the end of the day, true justice will be served. Obviously, outside of this world, there is no, there is only one true justice.
Oh, I know.
It's not private justice, but.
Wow.
I'm not gonna. Go
I think we
there.
should move on.
Yeah, because
no,
it's
no.
going to go into a lot more quotes if
but
we
my
don't.
my hope is that, like you said though, Sean, because of so many instances now where we have seen these off the rails moments from these people in the public eye get away with murder. I mean,
Well, I
here's
will
the thing:
say-
Harvey Weinstein
Yeah,
is sitting in prison rotting away,
yeah.
and there are those.
Well, yeah, every now and then they'll throw one under the bus. Like they got to make their sacrifice to
Exactly.
keep the rest of their noses
and that's
clean.
the real question here is at what point and I don't count on Hollywood
No.
to have any kind of backbone or
No.
have any kind of civility and yeah, no, I don't count on them for looking to them for moral,
Well, he has a heart of gold. And that's what Hollywood,
heart of gold
That's
that Harvey
what, that's
Weinstein.
what Hollywood thinks of Harvey.
But I ultimately do have hope that this idea of elitist privilege is catching up with those who are easily the ones most, benefited by
Yeah.
it, and that is your Hollywood elites.
Yeah.
And I think that day of reckoning is here. I think it's coming.
Yep, I agree. I mean,
So, we'll
Anne
see.
Hesh, she burned for what she did. So
Gosh sakes.
drive under the influence. It's
Well, that's true too. You play stupid games, win stupid prizes. All right, that's totally unrelated. But anyways, let's talk about.
I tried. It didn't work. I tried.
He's like, what the?
You can't handle the truth.
That's
I
it.
tried to time that when you said what you
Yeah.
said, but it
I
didn't go the
think
first time
it's
through.
okay.
What we all need here is a little bit more emotion, a little
Okay.
bit more sympathy.
yeah.
Just like Bond.
I don't agree.
Bond is going to get that.
Here's my thing. And I mean,
We're all gonna bond with Bond.
That's it. It's just going to be like beating a drum around a fire, and we're all just telling our feelings.
So just quickly before we even
007.
before we get into the article,
yeah.
who do you think could play that Bond?
an emotional,
The emotional Bond.
Well, that's
got to be British.
It
Tom
depends on
Hiddleston.
what, because this is my thing.
Well, yeah, that's actually that's actually kind of good.
You probably
yeah.
could.
Okay.
Because here's my thing. Because when we get into
I
that,
was
and
thinking Martin what is his name?
Harry Styles.
No,
No,
Harry
Harry
Styles, no,
Styles.
perfect.
No,
Hook, line, and
if you
sinker.
want that
would
type
be
of-
it.
if you
Martin
want-
Freeman. That's I was thinking Martin Freeman.
No, I mean Harry Styles fits the woke.
Could you
Bond.
imagine short, fat, pudgy, emotional
Yeah,
Bond?
But I don't think. Yeah, I don't
he
think she
doesn't
meets
do any
Bond.
Hobbit.
action stunts
Hobbit
at all.
Bond. He will.
Yeah,
They'll throw him out of a plane.
I don't think she meant emotional that way. But
We got a comment that says, "I hope Baldwin gets charged. He's a dirtbag."
That's right.
That's right.
That's right. Amen. Can't I agree?
here's my thing.
Amen.
What I'm about to
Amen.
say,
Put him away.
I know she does not mean what I'm about to say. Like I know what Barbara Broccoli means by a more emotional Bond.
Broccoli.
But I would argue it's like if you really think about it, Daniel Craig was a more emotional
She
Bond.
says that.
Yeah.
But but not,
she defeats her own argument
the
for a
love
more
story
emotional bond.
but not in the way that he's like all in his feelings. Like I gotta make sure. Like he's more emotional and he has that raw anger and that vengeance and the fact that he does fall in love hard. And then when the woman he falls in love betrays them, and then all the things that happen,
But not
he
only
wants
that,
vengeance. Like it's a very, it's
more than that.
emotion.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes.
It's a very
Masculine emotion.
authentic
Yeah.
masculine emotion.
Yes, and that's what I'm getting at. It's like, yes, I'm all for that type of emotional bond because that's who Bond should be. But that's not what I think she means at all.
But here's the problem. The juxtaposition of even bringing up this argument means that the bond we already got with Daniel Craig, they
Wasn't
want to be
emotional
more
enough.
emotional.
Yes, he wasn't emotional
and that's a
enough.
problem because, and I hate her excuse or her reasoning behind this.
Men have evolved.
Exactly. It's like what? So
What
wait,
have we evolved into?
to being feminine. That's what we've evolved into, and that apparently is okay now. See, it's bad to be masculine. It's okay to be feminine.
Masculinity is toxic.
Well, of course. That's why Bond needs to be more feminine in order. And I love her reasoning behind. She's thinking women are going to get behind
His
this.
mission will never get accomplished. Like, I mean, what kind of Bond film is that going to be? He's never going to beat the bad guy if he's too emotional.
Until he gets pissed
Is he gonna
and
be
launches
like-
a nuke.
I'm sorry. He's like, let's just sit down and talk. Like, why do we have to fight?
You mean like that scene with in the last movie?
In the last one when
with
he sits
Rami
down,
Malek?
but he has every intention of killing him.
Well,
Like, I'm just like,
here's what I hated though, because even in the Daniel Craig Bond films, the emotion too was also wrought in. There was still an objective to complete,
Yeah.
and he did it no matter the cost. And there might have been emotional feelings he had for not only just a woman, but even think of M.
Yeah.
and his mother
He also
son
had
aspect
to learn how to.
that he had there was also brought forth the feelings of I will do what is necessary to not only complete the job, but even when in spite of your blind spots. And it tested his loyalty to, okay, but I'm ultimately fighting for the betterment of and coming to the call of what my position calls me to
he
do.
had to learn to also put aside some of that emotion for the greater good. That was part of what Casino Royale is, him learning that sometimes you have to swallow your pride and do what has to be done. So there is
Basically, we're going to get Bond that goes woke, it goes broke, and then they go back.
yeah.
So the only hope that I have at this point for Bond is simply that they pick an actor that I don't like so that it just fails miserably and I don't get an actor that I do like to be part of a franchise that I don't think is going to succeed, and then we wasted a good Bond. That's my only hope at this point. Because when I hear this, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit taken aback by it because Barbara Broccoli has been so
Is it
adamant.
broccoli or broccoli? I'm
Broccoli.
sitting here looking at the name, trying to figure it out.
If it's
it might
foreign,
be
I'm butchering
it probably is broccoli, but it looks
We're
like
calling her
broccoli,
broccoli.
So I'm calling her broccoli.
You know what? Broccoli. Throw that twang
It's
in
probably,
there.
it probably is. Well, it's BROC, so COLI.
Brian said Christian Bale could be an emotional Bond.
He's not
No.
British.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be.
He's what is it?
He is,
Yeah,
isn't he?
Christian
not-
Bale, I thought was British.
He's not British. I
He's
thought
not
he was
from America.
I thought he was Australian or New Zealand. I don't know.
Well, that's British. Australian is.
I guess it's a British territory.
It's
What
true.
is
It
it?
used to
What
be.
is it?
Where's he from?
He's an English actor. He's from
Yeah.
the United
That's a
Kingdom.
lie.
Yep.
That's a
I knew he
lie.
was Haverfordwest, United Kingdom.
You know who could? Hugh Laurie. He could be an
He's
emotional.
almost
Bond.
dead. He's old.
I don't. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
House Bond.
If you want an emotional Bond, all right, fine. He could be the Doctor Who.
House.
Okay.
James House.
James House. All right.
I like how she says it this way though. This is what gives me no hope at all for the Bond moving forward. Humanizing the once womanizing spy.
Yeah.
And ensuring more fulfilling meteor roles for the female stars of the franchise.
But I think
that's what
like
says it
Lashana
all.
Lynch, who had no role,
Yes,
but she was
But
praised.
she wants to take Bond and reduce him down and push the female characters forward. So what you'll have is the female characters will be the gritty, strong
Well, and I think
characters in the film.
The reason it goes broke is because that's not what women want to see.
No.
And believe it or not, women didn't just show up to see, far be it for me to judge because I'm not a woman. I don't give a damn. I know that women didn't show up just to see freaking Daniel Craig walk out of the ocean in his freaking Speedo.
Yeah.
They showed up because they loved that, as well as him being conniving and cunning in certain scenes towards his
Cocky.
foes,
Yeah.
and also backing it up with some freaking awesome action scenes where he looks like a badass.
I think-
That's what women were drawn to and what they thought were sexy was
Yeah.
the whole package.
It's kind of funny.
When
Women
you
have
die-
forgotten what women want. It's really weird.
they're trying to force feed into what women want, and then it's funny because then they don't show up.
Mel Gibson knows what women want.
That's
true.
it.
I had to
Ask him.
I think I had a brilliant idea
Do
because
it.
I was really.
You know, real quick,
who
real
could
quick.
play a emotional pod?
Yes.
You're gonna love it.
John Cena.
Elliot Page.
Oh gosh.
Yes, I would pay money to go watch Elliot Page play Bond.
She's not British.
I don't care at this point. What does it matter?
What- yeah,
Bond's
exactly.
not Bond anymore. I mean, at this
Right.
point.
Fair point. all I know is I do think it's funny because I will say this about Bond, and I think it's interesting that Broccoli came out in defense.
Broccoli. I love it. Just say, keep going.
That probably isn't
Broccoli.
her name, but that's what it looks like, so that's what I'm going with. I'm not.
Broccoli.
She doesn't deserve my respect anymore.
The thing is it sucks because she came out in such staunch defense towards Bond remaining a man.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that I'm like, now you're almost eating those words by saying, but now we're going to make him a feminine man. And I'm like, no woman wants to see it. And here's how I know this. Because women didn't show up to go see that stupid movie that Jessica Chastain released however many months ago. I don't even remember.
The 500 Club or whatever. What was it called? What was it called?
No, it's the 700.
353. What was it?
Yeah, that was the 453.
That movie, I forgot about that.
The 700 Club.
I forgot that existed.
That's it.
The 355.
That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah.
355.
355.
I don't know. It was.
You gotta-
It looked
yeah.
terrible. I forgot about it.
But that's the thing.
Nobody knows what it
I
was.
jujuled it,
Nobody
by the
saw
way.
it.
It is Barbara Broccoli. So we're
So
good.
it is broccoli.
Broccoli.
Yeah, broccoli.
I'm still going to call her broccoli.
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 The broccoli.
But the thing is women don't show up to their own damn movies and watch them.
Nope.
You can talk about these highfalutin women who are strong, and I'm like, nobody's showing up to nobody went and saw The Woman King. We're going to talk about it with Avatar hitting the box office globally.
It beat, yeah.
It not only beat out globally, Don't Worry, Darling. Don't Worry, Darling only edged out in domestically.
Yeah, that's 'cause it
but
wasn't
where
in
did
3D.
The Woman King? Well, that's
If
there
Don't
you
Worry,
go.
Darling, or The Woman King
we
would
should
have
have
been 3D.
known that the rest of the world was going to run in droves to go watch Avatar again.
But the fact
I don't
is
know what
the
their
only
fascination-
movies people were talking about this weekend were Don't Worry, Darling, because it
guilty
just came
pleasure.
out,
Yeah.
and Avatar hitting the theaters again, and yet nobody was talking about. Wait, what was the number one movie in the box office last week? The Woman King. Where's it at this week? Flop. Same with the Don't Worry, Darling, because it's got Harry Styles in it that fans are going to flock to, but it's going to be a certified flop. Go support
Barbarian.
women films. Yes, go see Barbarian. Go support women-led films that supposedly. It was funny. It was a great meme. It was Women Lawyers written by a man, and it showed Rhea Seehorn from Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Said Women Lawyers written by a woman, and it showed
She-Hulk,
She-Hulk with Cardi B freaking doing.
No, Megan Thee Stallion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Whoops. They're totally different.
Yeah.
Doing whatever. What the hell is that
twerking.
dance? Twerking.
Yeah. They're twerking.
I'm just like, come on, have some respect for yourself and take yourself seriously instead of just trying to shoehorn in your own fantasy as to what is going to take the world by storm and destroy the patriarchy view of womanhood. I'm like, no, just worry about making good content that even you would want to show up to. Same with the freaking people going to support women's basketball or football teams. Oh yeah, there's no football teams.
You're quoting Bill Burr now.
But I'm serious. Go support your own crap before you have 51+% of the population. You're not drawn to your own crap. So quit getting mad at us for just being like,
Brandon's he's
Sorry.
letting it all out this week. He's
say-
like, man, I'm sick of women.
no, it pisses me off because when you touch on something like Bond, which is such a classic. I mean, we just celebrated with Daniel Craig's last movie. What was it, 50 years of Bond?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm just like, how are we going to
now
celebrate
he's-
50 years of Bond by saying, we're not going to do that Bond anymore? Forget that.
Bond's over. 50 years, he's done.
I guess it
He's
shouldn't
dead now.
surprise me
That's good.
because,
We're- move on.
freaking, that's what Disney does with all
What's
of their
funny, she talks
crap.
about how like the last Bond film, or at least Daniel Craig's Bond, like cracked open bond emotionally, and we're able to see
inner
these
side
emotional
of-
arcs
yeah.
and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but what you're talking about is the exact 180 of what we saw with Daniel
Craig
Craig.
Right,
did, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because the man that we know of Bond to be a womanizer turned into a family man who fought for the values
Yes.
of someone he loved didn't diminish the character.
No.
It actually
Well, again, because
gave
it's
him
still
more
a
virtuous
masculine
values
trait.
Yeah.
for modern day masculinity than saying, well, now we're going to turn him into a therapist
I'm just
who sends out the next Bond woman.
I'm just going to start scrub.
That's what it sounds like they're going to do.
I'm going to start Scrub season 9ing everything. It's like it no longer exists. Scrubs ended with season 8.
There you go.
Bond ended with this last one.
Hey.
The MCU ended with Endgame.
They
It's
want-
like
they want
everything else
to-
just doesn't exist anymore.
You're right. They want to eradicate all of the norms of the past, and I'm going to eradicate all the norms
Just
of the
like,
future
it's
they're
like those,
pushing.
Thank
those
you.
things don't
Yeah.
exist. They're
Yeah.
So let's
The
talk about
cartoon Little Mermaid is the only one.
There you go.
There's
Cartoon
there are
Pinocchio
no
is the only
sequels
one.
to Jurassic Park. It was a perfect one-off movie.
There is no way of water.
Yeah.
Avatar is the last one. Stop seeing it.
I can't. I can't. I'm not going to theaters to see the first one again.
I do, like they
But-
remastered it in 4K HDR.
It is
so
one of those movies that if it's on, I'm probably going to watch
Here's the
it.
thing.
I was gonna watch it before they took it off
Yes.
Disney Plus just to
If
make
they
more
will-
money.
I know.
Screw them.
They finally remastered
Luckily,
it.
I have 4 copies of
It's like
it.
they
so-
finally remastered it in 4K HDR, and I do want to see it that way, but I'm not going to go to the theater to see it that way. So I'm like, if you bring it
Yeah.
back to Disney Plus in 4K HDR, I'll watch it again. I'll give you that stream.
Yeah.
Well, they don't. Does Disney Plus have other 4K HDR?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Not
It's
on the-
HBO
not on-
Max that does it.
Not on, yes, HBO Max does too.
Which one doesn't?
All of them do. It's just not on the PS5 for whatever reason.
Oh, that's why.
Disney's not now. HBO, Amazon, and Netflix all will stream 4K HDR on the PS5, but a lot of the other apps don't.
Well,
yet.
you need to get with it and get a Roku or an Apple
I do.
TV.
I'm talking for him.
Oh. Yeah, Brandon.
The main message is stop seeing Avatar. Stop.
Yeah.
We don't. It doesn't need any more money.
Yeah.
James Cameron does not need any more credibility into saying that this universe is worth existing. Pandora needs to.
Actually, I think
Nora.
I want to say something. I know this is a little off topic.
Oh, God.
I was incredibly surprised that Stephen Lang is not as terrible as an actor as I always thought he was. I've been listening to this podcast, and it's a Marvel podcast where they do like it's an audio drama like Margaret's Monsters, and it's about them as older
Margaret's
people.
Monsters.
You can
Red
listen
Moon
to that.
Productions.com.
Stephen Lang voices like the older version of Hawkeye in this series, and he is really good. And I'm like, where did this Stephen Lang come from? Apparently, he just needs someone who can direct.
He
him.
needs to step away from James Cameron.
Yeah.
But I heard he was
really
good in what's the
the one where he's blind. Yes, is it Don't Breathe?
I think so.
1 and 2. I've heard he's really good in that too. So I'm like, I need to check those out because apparently Stephen Lang is not as terrible an actor I always thought he was. He's just terrible in Avatar.
And Terra Nova. He was
That's
pretty
what
bad
I was
in
gonna
that.
say.
Pretty bad at Terra
Terra
Nova. That was another one that Spielberg put his name on, and I'm just like, why?
He put his name on that damn Broadway TV show that flopped too.
Oh, he puts his name on all kinds of stuff.
No, and I'm just like, just because it has Spielberg's name, he's
mean it's
he's
good.
just a sellout.
He'll just
now.
produce whatever. He produced Transformers.
Yeah. I mean, he knew it was going to make money.
knows.
He knows.
Avatar
that
came in
is our
number 1 in the
news for
box
night.
office.
That's it.
That was our last headline.
globally.
Globally, not
Thankfully,
domestically.
it was not domestic.
It's all. That's
so
how it got
people
most of
here
its
have
money
stopped
last time.
seeing it.
Yeah.
America's
least.
done with Avatar. The rest of the world, China, they love it.
All right, let's move on to our multimedia segment. Because of all that damn Earth crap.
I did it. Multimedia.
Beautiful.
I got the dog hyped up.
Got the dog
I
hype.
was
She
all
thinks it's
hyped
time to
up.
go.
She thinks
wrong.
it's like we're not done yet.
This has been an interesting show, and it's we're not done yet. Yeah.
It's the best part of the show, guys.
Multimedia.
Halfway through Rings of Power and House of the Dragon, who is winning the fantasy war right now?
Easy. Easy.
I think we're all on the same page.
It's definitely House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
I just.
Which, massive spoilers. If you've not seen up to the latest episode, turn it off now. Go check them out.
Don't watch.
Rings
Don't
of
watch.
Power, you don't have to watch if you've seen the Peter Jackson trilogy.
Yeah.
Here's.
It's not a must see.
Yeah, I don't hate Rings. I hated the last episode, but I don't hate the show entirely yet.
I do.
It's one of those things where I really didn't have expectations for either show, which I think helped House of the Dragon a lot and actually hurt Amazon because I thought it was worse than my expectations. But I just with Game of Thrones and it kind of petering out some towards the end, and me just getting over everything needing to be a massive franchise. Like, we don't need 12 Star Wars series, Star Trek series.
Or spin-off after
all these-
spin-off after
yes,
spin-off.
Every
Yeah.
franchise is doing that now. So I was just like, do I really need another Game of Thrones? But it came on. I enjoyed it. Every episode I felt like has been better than the last, except for the last one.
Yeah,
too.
I agree. Yeah.
Both of them, I think the worst episodes were their last episodes. So, but ultimately, I think House of the Dragon's very well done. It's faithful to the lore. The acting's there. It feels like the original series.
Yes, yeah.
With Rings of Power, it's like I didn't have high expectations for it because of Amazon,
It had a lot to live up to.
and it did have a lot to live up to. But I try not to judge it strictly against Peter Jackson's because I never thought it would live up to that anyways. But even with a low bar, like they couldn't even meet my low bar. So I was just like, I don't know. There's just it meanders
Well,
on.
and
It's
I
just
hate-
spinning wheels, and it's not
Yeah.
going anywhere.
Yeah,
now.
that's my big question is where's this going? And there's a lot of mystery. And I feel like that for a show that's based on, or so, at least it's supposed to be based on, actual written content, and you have this guy showing up in a meteor. There's like 20 different theories on who the stranger is. There's 20 different theories on who
Sauron might be.
Sauron might be. This is so bad, but like I don't even remember half of these people's names. I don't care.
No.
But the man that rescues Galadriel from the water. That's now
Halbrand.
Halbrand. Yes, there's 20 freaking theories on who he's going to end up being.
Yeah.
He's going to end up being one of the 9, maybe even the Witch King, and all this stuff. And I'm like, how are you coming up with all these? I'm not seeing that going anywhere, and that's the issue that I have.
I
Is
think it's
don't know-
hopeful. Like people are like hoping to realign the show into what they know of the
But
lore.
it's a failure
Yeah.
of those who know the lore versus those who don't, and
Yes.
ultimately even the ones who know the lore being like, why is it going in this direction? Like, even when the people I talk to, mainly you,
Yeah.
who know
I
this
hated the last
world,
ep- They
Yeah.
pulled so much crap out of their butt.
but that's
the
what I'm
last
saying.
episode.
It's they,
and I don't even know that, and I think it's bad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like I'm like, where did you come up with
Exactly.
that? I
Like,
don't even know the
there's-
backstory.
There's
I'm
characters
just
and
like,
people
this doesn't
I
make sense.
do not care about, and
Yeah.
most of it is
Yeah.
meandering to the point of, okay, even if I knew the backstory, but I don't know how you arrived at this point or how I'm supposed to care for the motivations of these characters.
why you should care. As every single thing that they introduced in this last episode about Mithril, they completely made up. Like none of that's in the series. And I'm just like, why? Like, why are we trying to give Mithril an even more importance than it already has? Like, where are we going with the lore? Like I told Brandon, I'm sitting here trying to figure out, well, maybe like how to realign it with the lore. Is like maybe Gil-galad's just lying, but then that kind of makes him a terrible person, which he's not supposed to be. So I'm like, I have no idea. I really don't.
Well, I thought the rock was supposed to end up being one of the substances that goes into the rings. Are the rings made out of mithril? Like, I just don't get it. I thought the whole point of going to get that stone and introducing that
Maybe that's what
was
they're going
because
to do.
it
Maybe
was
they're
going
use
to be part of the ring.
forge to make the ring. I don't know. Like I said, they're the Second Age doesn't have a whole lot of information. Like Tolkien mostly focused on the First and Third Ages, which is the beginning of like the creation of Arda and of course Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The Second Age has details, like he has like specific historical events that happened that are listed, but it doesn't have a lot of depth on what happened like surrounding those events. And that's the same exact thing for House of the Dragon. George R.R. Martin wrote Fire and Blood, which is like kind of a history of the Targaryens, but there's not depth on every event. It just kind of lists these kind of events happened. And I felt like House of the Dragon, they're doing a good job fleshing those events out and giving you an idea of if this happened, like maybe the characters would have handled like this is how it came about.
Yeah.
And I think they're doing an excellent job with that. With
Well, it
Lord
just
of the
it no
Rings,
doubt
I
has
just-
the same look and feel.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings has the same look, but not the same feel. And I was gonna say when you were talking about how everything is getting its own series now, and I mean I've talked about it at length, and we all have to a degree. As to why I'm so tired of the Marvel universe, and even look at Star Wars and how they've run that into the ground. And granted, look, if you're a fan of that material and you're looking forward to Andor and you followed all the stuff from The Mandalorian and everything, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was intrigued with The Mandalorian, but I've kind of fallen off of just any kind of huge
because
franchise.
if you don't keep up with everything, then you get lost. So
And for me, what I loved about the fact that House of the Dragon was coming back and Rings of Power was, I agree, I didn't have huge expectations for both, but these are the first properties that come from the original properties that created so much stir and so much fandom. Everybody knew and everybody knows how much of a masterpiece the Lord of the Rings trilogy is. Everybody knew how big a series Game of Thrones was. And the fact is that when you have avid fans of both, and you now are saying, well, we're going to expand. They're going
to scrutinize it, yeah.
Well, of course. And so you have people who are coming from the side of the aisle of, I want to make sure that things are done right. And there's just no doubt in my mind that House of the Dragon's knocking it out of the park right now. Mm-hmm. You can have some few gripes about certain, reasons why people act the way they do, or even maybe certain story elements that you could say, well, that's contrived or that's woke. But I at least give it the benefit of the doubt of, I have not seen anything so far in House of the Dragon that seemed so out of place considering the culture and the time period.
It fits
and the
with
story
that world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rings of Power deliberately seems like you stuck a mask and a facade of Lord of the Rings universe that Peter Jackson created and put it onto something of a terrible story.
Soap opera
that has, and it's not even, it's sad because it doesn't even feel like, at least I can watch Young and the Restless and get a little emotion out of it.
Well, that's the thing. They're stretching everything out to, like, they talked up so much about how they condensed the timeline because the second age happens over thousands of years. So like, we condensed everything so that we could tell the story all in the season. I'm like, what did you like? Yes, he's condensed as far as certain characters existing at the same time that didn't, but that's it as far as condensing it, because so far you've told a story that has nothing to do with the rest of the lore, and the first season's gone nowhere. It's like, for you to still have all these events that are supposed to happen, and you've gotten to not even building up.
What
to
are your all's thoughts on the characters in Rings of Power?
Oh God,
they're all bland. I don't care about any of them. They're not. The writing to me is one of the things where I feel like the writers are trying to sound like Tolkien and failing, but they think they've nailed it. Like, oh, this sounds so wise. Like, why does a stone sink
and a boat float?
Look how smart he is. Like, I'm like, did you really think that was sage advice? Like, do you know why a rock sinks and a boat floats? I don't know. Rock's heavier. Like, it's not boiling. Like
it is sad because,
like Sean said, it opens up the opportunity for people to come up with any half-assed dumb
stupid answers. Yeah,
because it's a dumb question.
Well, and that actually is a perfect point, because the fact is that when you take something as beloved as Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings, and Tolkien himself hated allegory.
Yeah.
And he was very deliberate, I think, in the messaging and the virtues and values he put into the story. And you can watch Peter Jackson's film. I mean, he deliberately has said this in an interview with Charlie Rose back in the day when the films were just coming out. And he said, we did not try to approach this by putting in our own messages. We wanted to be faithful to Tolkien's work.
Yeah.
And you completely see the opposite taking place with Rings of Power.
Yeah.
There is no instance of, let's see what Tolkien might have been pushing here or what kind of message he was trying to tell us. No, they just literally come up with junk to fill in the gaps. Yeah. So and that's the kind of the unbelievable thing here.
Yeah.
They're telling an extremely dense story of all of these pieces that should be kind of somewhat moving together, because like you said, it's a mystery. You don't know what the hell's going on, but at the same time, in the grand scheme of things, nothing is going on. It's like there's nothing, like they literally have been stuck on this one island trying to gather troops for 3 episodes.
I thought they already left. I thought at the end of the last episode they were sailing off, and then we get to the beginning of this episode and they're all like still packing and arguing over whether they should or shouldn't go. I was like, no, I thought you already left.
One of them's trying to stow away and all that stuff, and then a boat blows up. I'm just like, what in the world is all this
and
crap
even
going on?
the repercussions there from that whole sideline story doesn't even like... It has no actual decent conclusion. Yeah. It's just, I'm going to cover for this guy so that I can, maintain my loyalty. And he's not really a bad guy, even though he was trying to blow up a ship. Like I just.
But
it just baffles
to me.
me.
That's the soap opera aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's just it's trivial characters, trivial situations, and there's nothing moving forward. And again, like this is supposed to, I don't know how many seasons they plan on doing with this, but I was hoping that at least in the first season, we're on episode 5 right now.
Yeah.
There's only 8 episodes.
Yeah, there's only 8. And I'm like, so 3 more episodes.
That's the only positive thing about it.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? Where are we going to get to?
I thought the same thing. I was like, how are you ending the first season? Like, from what I read, they have like a 5-season plan. I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, well,
oh my God.
5 season makes sense to me for the story, but not now that I've seen it, because I'm like, okay, you didn't do anything with the first season. Like, what are you
so
like?
The whole first season is just introducing
it's
going to
be the elves and the Numenorians getting to Middle Earth. I guarantee that's going to be the end.
What's the major?
I don't know what else they can do.
Like,
fight the orcs and have a battle, but
I
then
can
what?
watch
That's not going to do any
House
conclusion.
of the Dragon,
Yeah.
and I have an idea.
They
of,
started in Middle Earth, didn't they? She started in Middle Earth.
Yeah.
She did.
And I'm like, so the whole freaking first season is going to be her getting lost and then finally coming
to
back.
Middle Earth. Yeah,
Yep.
I bet in the
God.
finale she'll arrive and Elrond and Gil-galad will be like, "Oh, Galadriel's back."
But you
Like,
can't. They have to arrive in
Elrond's
Middle Earth in
terrible.
the next.
He is terrible.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and like
He's like
Keith even
Stephen Curtis
said-
Chapman with worse hair. Like he's terrible.
Keith said it best. It's like their hair, they're flowing like locks of like they don't even have long hair. It's like all coiffed.
That's
and-
what I'm saying. I was
Yeah,
like,
you know, hey.
like, I don't care if they had shorter hair. That's fine. Nothing says that the elves only had long hair. But I'm sure they didn't have perfectly styled like modern haircuts.
They got
like,
elven hair gel,
I
dude.
guess.
Elven wax.
It's,
something.
it's got mithril in it, man.
Yeah, that
holds
mithril-
up
yeah.
strong.
that the whole
the
like
unbreakable hair.
the elves losing their light. I was like, what is this? Like you could just all of a sudden you're not immortal anymore. Like I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, again, and this is where they deviate. They try to fill in gaps that are somehow creating new lore for fans who don't know anything in the backstory. But then it's screwing over the people who do know the lore and who are like, why are you deviating this far? Like, it doesn't make any sense to make up this subplot that doesn't tie into anything Tolkien wrote. So then the real question is, again, who is this made for? Yeah. Are you doing this to be faithful to Tolkien's work? Or are you doing this because you know it's resting on Tolkien's name and the popularity of Lord of the Rings?
Because Bezos wanted something to rival Game of Thrones, and he thought Lord of the Rings was it.
Oh, no doubt.
No, they thought the Pillars of the Earth was it. They thought the
Witcher?
Wheels of Time was it. They
No,
thought,
no. He's talking about
just
strictly
Amazon.
I'm talking about
Amazon.
Amazon. Yeah, Amazon's had 3 tries at
Now,
this.
here's the thing. Bezos himself negotiated the deal for Rings of. That's how like he was like positive, like Lord of the Rings, because of how high profile it was.
He knew it would be a moneymaker.
Yes, because they
knew
said
it
it's
would
very
be.
rare for him to negotiate for a prime show because he has other
But
things
why
to worry
the
about.
hell would you negotiate that hard?
You know who-
and then put at the helm people who have no writing credits at all?
Yeah.
Who this is like their first major
Yeah.
project?
Yeah,
Why?
$240 million project
Yeah.
for the first season.
And now, granted, I think Keith, you had brought it up.
They did mention that even
It's-
though like they spent all that, some of it they said would be following seasons would be cheaper. They paid a lot of that up front to build the sets and to do all that. And they would have assets that would carry over. But I'm like,
right.
you've only had like 3. You've had
So far, the money was spent on set pieces.
but they've only had like
And
not
the
on-
rights.
But they've only had like really
No.
4 set pieces: Numenor, Linden, where the elves lives, Moria, and then the Harfoots in the woods. It's like literally you only see these locations, so it's like they're not all going to carry. You're going to have new locations in
no
subsequent
doubt.
seasons. Like, I'm sure those 4 locations.
Well,
aren't
here
the
and
only
here
4
even
locations
says
throughout
say
the
that half the budget was spent on receiving the rights, getting the rights on lock. Even if that's the case, boom. Well, let's say $90 million is spent on doing the whole season, which is still an astronomical number for a show. But $90 million on something like this, that means by the time you do 5 seasons, I mean, even take this season, you're talking 8 episodes. Each one's an hour long. That's 8 hours. The original 3 movies were 9 hours in total.
Yes. And this is
And you're looking at the content that they covered in 9 hours in those 3 movies.
Brilliant.
And I'm sorry, but you cannot convince me that this has any chance of succeeding in the same
I
emotional
thought the
impact.
same exact thing the other day. I was like, in 8 hours, you didn't even tell like anything remotely close to what Lord of the Rings accomplished in their
Same
9.
problem that
Yeah.
that The Stand had when it was
Oh,
they
yeah.
remade it from the
Yeah.
miniseries.
Yeah.
And they spent 2 additional hours from the original series.
What hurt my heart, because I was reading about like Jeff Bezos negotiating and all the stuff that went behind getting the series, they outbid Netflix and HBO Max both, and I'm like, damn, like either one
What
of them I
could have
think
been
would have been
done.
better, especially if HBO Max got it because they're under Warner, who owns the film rights for Lord of the Rings. You know how much they could have put into this series and tied it in with the movies?
No
that would have
doubt.
been amazing.
Yep.
And I'm just like, Jeff Bezos he had to have it, and he
Oh,
made
he
sure
got
they
it.
outbid it, and I'm just like, I hate it.
Here's the question, and this is the ultimate bigger question, because we've ragged on. I mean, obviously, you understand out there in the audience, we're pulling for House of the Dragons. It's winning right now. House Targaryen.
I mean, I would
is
pour for
beating
Lord of the
House
Rings because I'm a
Tolkien.
much bigger Lord of the Rings fan than Game of Thrones.
Agreed.
But
where does this bold in terms of, does it bode well or bode poorly for what we get next? Do you think that, like, how do you think they'll respond after the poor reception of the season? Because I think they're trying to hide it.
They've already renewed it, so we know we're getting more.
Yeah.
We just hope that they can fix
Right,
the
but
mistake.
okay, so
and they've already touted how many people watched it.
do we
I mean,
keep the same writers and the same showrunners and the same staff? Do we wipe
hope not.
the slate clean and start fresh?
I would wipe the slate clean. I don't think Amazon's going to, but I would wipe the slate clean and be like, you all suck. And you mentioned they touted how much it was watched, but then what they haven't been touting, you can go and look, it's had a steadily decline. People
yeah.
have reported on
Yeah.
it, but Amazon's not. Of course, they're not going to praise
Of course
that. So
I mean,
it is-
even for me, dude, I was really looking forward to it, and I've tried to stay on top of watching it, but now I'm like,
I forced
Sunday
myself to
night,
watch it,
I
yeah.
watch House of the Dragon. I might get to
Rings of Power.
Yeah.
on Friday, but usually it's like late Monday night if I ain't got nothing else to watch.
And
I'll go ahead and
honestly,
watch it.
even Rings of Power, I'm like, I've gotten to the point where I told Keith this. I said I will finish this season because I'm already. If it was 10
Yeah, it's only
episodes,
got 3 more
if it was
episodes,
10
yeah.
episodes, I probably would stop now. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
The fact that it's 3 more episodes, I'll devote it to see how it wraps. But I do if it continues the pace it has, and I'm definitely expecting that, I will not watch season 2. I won't tune in.
That's where my dilemma is.
I will not continue to watch crap. I just can't. I'm not. There's too many other things to
I know,
enjoy,
but
and
it's
there's too many
kinda
other
like
things
you
I
said,
need to
though,
watch.
What if they do turn things around and come back?
Then I'll watch it on the back end.
Yeah.
Because there have been other shows. Breaking Bad was one. Did not start out with it. I watched it right before the last season aired on TV.
Yeah.
And I caught all the way up, and I loved every minute of it. If
think-
Rings of Power hits its stride in the second season, and they look back and say we were wrong and go a different route, great. I'll jump on the bandwagon later. But right now, after these next 3 episodes, if they can't, if it doesn't end up, it's not going to. It's not. It's a flop. It's a failure.
It's funny because you had shared the article with us before where they had talked about like they had actually reached out to Peter Jackson and then they ghosted it. They were like, we want you to kind of give your opinion on this because we're making it. And he was like, sure, I'd be happy to, but send me, like, you have to send, like, I'm not just going to, you send me the script. And then they never got back with him. They're just like, okay, never mind.
We got it covered.
Yeah.
We'll do it on our
And
own.
I'm just like,
It's like, okay, yeah, look, we saw where that
well,
landed
they
you.
had Tom Shippey, who's a Tolkien scholar I was reading, was originally hired and brought on board. And then there was never a reason given, but apparently he was dismissed pretty early on. And I'm like, that seems kind of suspect that, like, you no longer wanted the Tolkien scholars' help. Because
No, it's
because
like
he
as soon
was
as they
an
get their
assistant-
hands on the rights, it's like, no,
Yeah.
we're going to make it our own. We don't need outside help.
because he
It
was
tells you-
consulted with Peter Jackson and Philippa Boyens and them consulted Tom Shippey as well because he's like the foremost Tolkien scholar like that teaches classes.
Well, it shows you
and
they
stuff
have
right now.
they do not care about the dignity of upholding Tolkien and his work.
No.
They only care about the IP that is Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And all they care about is shoehorning whatever values and propaganda and indoctrination of today's current woke culture. They want to shoehorn that any way they can in there because that's part of the reason it's just crap. It has nothing to do with race of certain characters. It has to do with how these characters react and the source material. And they're completely betraying it left and right. So why would anybody want to tune into it and keep watching it?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't do any favors for anybody watching. It's not entertaining. It's absolute garbage. And people who are promoting it, I'm sorry, but when was the last time you heard of a positive film, movie, or show, whatever it is, piece of entertainment, where you had to go out there and praise it endlessly to get some people to watch it or like it? Think about even video games. It's like if you have to continually talk about the merits of how good something is, as opposed to saying, "Oh, you got to check
Letting
this
it
out."
speak for itself. Yeah.
That does not bode well.
I can't drive down the highway without seeing an Amazon delivery truck with Rings of Power plastered
Guy
on the
Ladriel
side
on
of
it.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm just everywhere. I get on a website and the banners and stuff are Rings of Power, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like House of Dragons has advertisement, but it's nowhere near as extreme as how much Rings of Power is out there.
Speaking of that, I just actually saw the first advertisement for the Snow show, HBO. They're doing a spinoff of Jon Snow. You knew that, right?
Oh yeah.
I did not.
Yes.
They're doing a teaser. They did a teaser of it.
There
It's
was
dropped?
there was like a poster or whatever.
I
of
didn't
it,
know
yeah.
that they
I did
did that.
not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that they were doing like what he's doing beyond the wall
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Real quick, and I just want to confirm this. Again, we said spoilers. In this last episode of House of the Dragon, that Joffrey is not Joffrey.
No.
Just want to make sure.
Joffrey's Cersei's son.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'm
That Joffrey
clarifying
was
it
named after his
for everybody
lover.
else out there.
Okay. So his lover's name
Was
was
Joffrey.
Joffrey, and Kristen
Yeah.
Cole beat the crap out of him and killed him, and so he wanted to name at least one of his sons Joffrey.
Nitpick. That was another thing. The only thing that I did not like about I was fine. I thought they handled it well, just like The Crown, in terms of changing the characters and being older. The only one I didn't like how they handled it was they didn't change Christian.
Yes,
told
we
him
talked
that.
about that
I was
tonight.
like, I just
Didn't
thought
even
it was
give
a
him
little
gray
too
hair
out
or
of
nothing.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
a beard, something to make him look
Like
older.
I thought everyone else was fine. Like as far as like the ones they did change, I thought they did a good job. And then the actors they didn't change, but they aged up. I thought they all looked good. But
Yeah.
yeah, Kristen Cole.
I do have a question because I don't know the lore and all that stuff. So the guys that they removed their tongues and sent them out to basically burn the castle, are they like a precursor to the faceless men, or
I don't think so. No.
Or who are they?
That'd be a cool tie-in if
That
it was.
that one I couldn't give you the answer to.
I
I'm
only-
not real
Okay.
sure
I
of
was
that
just
one.
curious.
I
if
thought
you
it was
knew.
a one-off. I
You
thought
think
it
so?
was the Queen's henchman, the one who's with. I almost secretly think they're betting
The
each
other
other.
the other
They,
son of
I
the
don't know.
hand.
It seemed
Yes.
more. It
Yeah.
seemed
The
more
cripple
substantial
guy,
than a one-off to pull them out of prison and say, "Here's the price
Well,
you pay."
I took
to
it as
take
more
your
of
tongue."
a story beat for that character. I forget his name. The Queen's.
Yes,
I forget his
he's
name.
blackmailing her, right?
No. I took it as
It's
he's.
similar to Varys, but that's not his name. It's like Laris or Terrace or something like that. I'd have to look.
You know, I
it
thought
back
at the
up.
end he basically tells her like,
It's
I
funny
had these
'cause I
people killed for
actually-
you, and if that was ever to come out, you would be responsible because
Yeah.
you basically told me to do it." And she's like, "No, I didn't tell you to do
Well,
that."
I think she's. I don't know. I kind of got the
'Cause he says
vibe
you
of
give me what I
It is
want.
Laris. Okay, I was right.
Yeah.
Laris.
Yeah.
he's playing off the emotions of I'll do whatever it takes to get you the power that you deserve. I don't think they've clarified yet, and I think they're playing it coy, and I like the way they're doing it. But I do think that just like everybody else had, like they're married
Their
for
side
the,
pieces, yeah.
their side. That's her side piece, and it's like who is giving her satisfaction, and ultimately how she's now like I'm gonna protect my lineage
I
with
do
whatever
know the
cost.
answer to that one. But I'm not gonna say.
Yeah, don't say it.
Okay. Yeah.
But I see it as that's the part he's playing is to almost like what's his name, not Varys, the other one, Littlefinger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
to me, he kind of gives
is very
Littlefinger
much-
vibes.
He is very much, that type of character.
And so
Yeah.
I took it as but I don't see him as conniving in that regard as much as he is at this point.
Yeah.
In it for being the ear to the queen
Okay.
and getting his stuff.
His own family. He's just like.
I also thought, and this is something, call me a prude, I don't care, real quick. Just like with I'm trying to think of another show. Well, I mean, we've talked about it countless times of just in general, just with the very terrible nature of where we are in society and culture in terms of devaluing innocence and children. Thought it was a little far, regardless of how old the character's supposed to be, that you see the younger son masturbating out the window and you see his very...
he's actually the oldest son.
Yeah, he is the oldest.
Well,
son.
that's the thing, though. But how old is he?
he's.
And I don't mean his character. I mean in real life.
Yeah,
he may every
he's
bit.
Is
he of age?
Yeah, he is
18.
Yeah,
or older.
Yeah, it's David Tennant's son. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just saying it's like he very much looked young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he's supposed to look, because again, that's another character they want to kind of like, just like with young Rhaenyra, how like they skipped a couple of years but kept her for a while. He's supposed to like be a little bit younger than the actor actually
but even
is.
and I'll even say that too. Even for Rhaenyra's character, and I know they conveniently,
yeah. And
you
she
know,
was of
covered
age.
up a lot of things.
Yeah, but she was of
She's
age when they did
24
those
years
scenes.
old.
Yeah, yeah.
And I get that, but the fact that she is playing a younger girl,
Yeah.
and I understand the time period, and it's a different world, and I
Yeah.
get all that. But it is a little bit, I do find it striking and a little bit telling that it's like even in Hollywood, adult sex scenes aren't enough anymore. We have to have
Yeah.
The child-
and portray
yeah.
child pornpornography.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's pretty telling to me that revealing. That's exactly
Well,
exactly the.
This is it is very especially with her and her uncle.
Yeah.
There was some very I was like, wow, this is sketchy. Like this is, but I mean, they've been doing this forever. Look at every high school movie where these teens are hooking up and stuff. Those are 20-something-year-old people playing 16-year-olds.
yeah.
Right.
So it's like Hollywood has
Oh, that's
always
what it was.
been
Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I just
Ty
watched Cobra
Tennett's
Kai.
20 years old. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
But even then, and I'm not going to spoil nothing because I know Keith You have not seen it yet.
Yeah.
There is a scene where it's like they're supposed to be at prom, and granted, 16, 17 years old, and like there's a scene. It could have easily just been they're in a convertible and they are having a moment, and guy and girl, and they lean over and kiss each other. But it's not just they kiss. She literally gets out of the passenger seat and mounts him in the driver's seat, and they start making out. And I'm just like, okay, you don't. I don't even care if it's like, oh, you saying 17-year-olds don't have sex? Okay, I'm not saying they do, but I'm also not saying it's something we should celebrate. And the fact that you see this possible 17-year-old kid, both the actors are 24, but they're portraying 17-year-olds, and I'm like, what message are we sending to kids who are going to see this and be like, yeah, that's just romanticism.
Normal.
It's
Kids
normal.
shouldn't be watching House of the Dragon.
They shouldn't be watching.
They should not.
Shouldn't be watching
I
Cobra
agree.
Kai either.
Right. There's things in Cobra Kai
Yeah,
where I
Cobra
thought
Kai's
out
foul.
early on.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this actually wouldn't be a bad preteen show. No, it's divulged into.
Yeah.
It's sad too because it's preteen antics, but for adults.
Yeah.
So it's like it just completely shows you where we are at in society of like, we're just big adult children. It's kind of sad. That's my last point.
I will say,
I'll
I'm not defending obviously that specific moment of that scene, but they nail Aegon's character. He is supposed to be a little snot, so.
Oh, no doubt.
So
no doubt. Absolutely.
He played it well. I would say the actor played it well.
So he's the Joffrey of this series.
Well, is that the
Possibly.
actual Aegon? Like Aegon Targaryen, like because there's.
He's not Aegon the Conqueror. Aegon the Conqueror is who first came to Westeros.
Right, but he's named after him.
But he is named after him.
Okay,
yeah. They
okay.
repeat names because even Joffrey's name will
Right.
comes from
Yeah.
That
Joffrey
line.
Targaryen, which I think is funny. It's like
it
Because
is
he
kinda-
hates
yeah.
the Targaryens.
Yeah.
Well, and
yeah.
the fact that he's this little nitwit kid named after like a homosexual lover.
Yeah.
It's just a
Ultimately,
little
yeah.
bit, I just,
True.
Yeah.
well, he believes he was named after a Targaryen, but that Targaryen was named after the homosexual lover.
Right.
So
Exactly. It's like, just which Targaryen, really.
Yeah.
Even though it really wasn't.
No, I mean the characterizations are right, which is better than Rings of Power. So
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for this episode. Let us know what you think of Rings of Power if you've been watching it. Hopefully you've not.
you can watch all of the shows.
Or let us know if you like House of the Dragon if you've been watching that. Tell us what you think.
Edie poked her head out.
She's
knows.
waiting. She's ready. She knows.
Yep.
But email us, rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. I don't do it as well as you over there.
RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
It's just beautiful.
She heard me say it. Look at her.
I know.
She knows.
She knows. Week to week, she knows when
When he
time
says
is up.
that,
That's our
She
Red
comes
Moon
running.
mascot.
That's right. Alrighty, that is our email, but also our social. Like, share, subscribe on all of the medias out there. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics. Search for Red Moon Productions and find us. She knows.
She knows.
Hey, and I didn't know this. We're actually on Rumble.
Are we?
Rumble.
I should have
I
known
don't even
this.
know what Rumble is.
It's going to be bigger than YouTube. We're on Rumble, and all of our shows post there because I linked it to our YouTube account.
Okay.
So if YouTube ever strikes us, then we're screwed. But then we'll just exclusively be on Rumble.
Okay.
So go join us over there and like, share,
You're
subscribe.
not allowed to be on Rumble and YouTube.
I'm gonna have to Google
can be on
Rumble because
both.
I've never heard of it.
They actually YouTube just canceled Russell Brand though and struck
yeah.
a show because he was going to he wasn't even going off YouTube. He just exclusively was premiering his show on Rumble starting 2 days from now.
Yeah.
And YouTube just struck his channel today and canceled it. So if you don't want to be censored,
He was on the cutting
Wow.
block anyway because of his stance on.
because
life.
again, once you join the left side of the aisle, you can't ever come back.
no.
You're always there.
Yeah.
You have to remain there. So you're part of the cult. Alrighty, guys, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, live every single Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Until next time, real quick, we're reviewing Hocus Pocus 2 next week because it comes out this week.
It does.
On Thursday.
It does.
So check out Hocus Pocus 2 on Disney Plus.
Lots of people are excited
or
about
pirate it.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. So far, the remakes. Oh, we didn't even announce that crap. I'm just remembering a bunch of crap.
Our Halloween theme
Our Halloween theme this
That's
year.
Well, actually, it started this week with the Munsters.
Munsters.
The reason we're doing Hocus Pocus 2 is, and we did the Munsters tonight early, was because we're doing franchise.
I did mention in the
horror
review
movies.
that it was franchise Halloween. So
There we go. We
Halloween,
gave
not
people
horror, because the Munsters and Hocus Pocus isn't horror.
True.
We,
Halloween.
we
sorry.
watched Hocus Pocus the other night.
You watched the good one.
We watched the good one.
I'm
But
calling
get
it the
ready.
good one before. I don't even. I haven't
for
seen
it.
this. I just don't expect.
Jacob
Disney.
loves that movie.
Yes.
He just loves
it's-
Hocus Pocus.
I think it's a
great.
great movie.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
I've heard Jacob say that it's probably his favorite Halloween.
His
Halloween
absolute
movie.
favorite.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, he
Yes.
loves that
It's
movie.
Sarah Jessica Parker.
He
That's what
watches
He
it
likes.
like-
cannot watch any other Halloween movie but that one every year.
Yeah.
He has to at least see that.
He's
once.
not a big Halloween fan of the holiday, but he absolutely loves Hocus Pocus.
I
loves it.
Can't help but think you're lying.
Just asking.
Only speak the truth.
Yeah.
Until next time, I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new
Sean
host,
Sebastian.
And
The best laugh I had all day was Jesse Smollett trying to kill himself.
oh god, oh my gosh.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.